Hey, what's up? And welcome to Postscript. Hey, Jeff. How's it going?
It is great,
It's
actually.
great?
It's great.
I
Yeah.
like that response.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Today we're talking connection, friendship,
Yep.
a little vulnerability talk. Are you good if we talk about that?
Let's do it.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to share some statistics with you,
Yep.
and then I want you to react to them. So let me read this off. From 1990 to 2020, the number of people who say they feel like they have no close friends has quadrupled. 54% of Americans say no one knows them well, and 36% of Americans say they feel lonely all the time. That's a third of Americans say they feel lonely all the time. Can you react to that? What does that mean to you?
Yeah. Well, and then it goes up,
Sure.
where 60 young adults, the younger you go, the lonelier in our culture right now. So 61% of young adults claim to feel lonely pretty much all the time. 2 out of 3. That's a crisis. And so I do believe we are a culture in relational crisis and a loneliness crisis that leads to we are designed for connection.
Yeah.
And we're not producing those kind of connections that bring joy and life and meaning and all that. And so because of that, anxiety and depression and people ending their lives and all that has just spiked way up over the last 15 years in a way that is, we really are in crisis mode. And so I think there's so much that's happening in culture that's keeping us, but also we're losing the skills that it takes to build those kind of connections.
Right.
And so that's really what we're talking about in this series, are those key skills that get us to the kind of connection our souls are created to experience.
It's really good. Because one of those skills is about being known, yourself.
Yeah.
It's funny that that's a skill, but it totally is. To let yourself be known. And one reason why I wanted to talk to you is because we're both doer kind of people.
Yeah.
We're get it done kind of people. And I feel like I can talk to people okay, but I'm very awkward and uncomfortable with that next level of vulnerability or friendship. It takes me a long time to get there, and then I still feel like, oh, they're gonna hate me if I start talking about my stuff or whatever. Do you relate to that? And can you tell us how to are there ingredients to fix that? Fix me, Jeff. Basically.
Yeah, I do relate to that. And it's one of the things that kind of bothers me about Jesus a little bit, is that he was so much more people-oriented than goal-oriented, and so relational, and spent so much time and made relationships, especially the key relationships, a big priority, much more than I do.
Yeah.
And his vulnerability in those relationships, but also his commitment to those relationships. And relationships, in order to do this, the skill of being known means there's at least 2 skills in that. One is to show up, and one is to open up.
Definitely.
And by showing up, it's saying, I'm going to make key relationships, a priority in my life. And that sounds easy. We'll just show up. But it's not, because we're so busy, we're so distracted with technology and other things, that it really takes commitment, devotion, a lot of intentionality, and a lot of effort to show up and make key relationships a priority in a way that can actually get them to a place of depth.
Totally. Yikes. I feel like the show up part is kind of easy. The open up part is tricky for me. So it's helpful to hear though, just start there, and take that deeper. Honestly, when I think about Jesus, if we can talk about Jesus for a second, he probably had it all figured out, is my guess. He was really great at relationships and never felt awkward or uncomfortable or lonely or vulnerable, right?
No, and which is another surprising thing about him, right?
Totally.
Is that in Jesus, I believe, the Bible says it, I believe it, a lot of us believe it, you may not, but that he's God, who came in human form. So there's 2 things there. One is he's divine. And so he shows us what God is like. And God is a relator. And when you relate to somebody, you make yourself vulnerable, because you can be rejected and hurt and betrayed and ignored and all of those things. And the Bible, throughout the Bible, we just don't think about it this way, but shows God that way, that God cries, he weeps, he gets disappointed, he grieves. We make him sad, because he's a relational being. He loves us, and And then Jesus being divine had all of that in his relationships, and he was very open about it. He didn't hide it. Mm-hmm. He didn't make himself look, I'm God, I'm together, I don't struggle, I don't have these feelings. He did. I mean, God does. He was also human.
Right.
And he took on humanity. In the book of Hebrews in the New Testament says that he struggled in every way that we struggle as human beings. So he knows what it's like to feel vulnerable, to get disappointed, to feel that, oh no, what are people going to think about this? All those feelings that we have, he had too. Mm-hmm. And people deserted him, they betrayed him, they killed him. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen, right?
Yeah.
And one of those, there's so many poignant stories, but, and I talk about one on the weekend, but another one is at the end of his life, when he is in the Garden of Gethsemane, which is this place where he's with his disciples, and he says, God, he knows that night he's going to be arrested and beaten and tortured and all that. The next day he's going to be crucified, and he's going to die on the cross for the sins of the world. So he knows all that's about to happen. And he tells his disciples, his 12 friends, and then he says, I need you. I need you to pray for me. And he didn't say, I don't need you. I'm good, And then three of them were closest to him. And he says, I need you to go with me a little bit further into the garden. And he says, he tells them, I need you to pray for me because I am sorrowful to the point of death. Meaning I'm so weighed down, I don't think I can live anymore. I don't think I can handle this. Wow. Now that's not together. No, but he was completely falling apart and honest about it. He's saying, I am falling apart. I cannot do this. I need you to be with me. I need you to pray for me. And then he prays and cries and all this, and they're seeing it. They're seeing his struggle. He doesn't hide it. And I think that's super instructive because, one, that's a huge risk. Are they going to believe in it? Right. I mean, and yet that's why he had the depth of relationships that he had, is that he was vulnerable and he let people in to his struggle. He didn't act like he was together when he wasn't together, even though he is who he is, which is amazing. And I think by model shows us if we're going to have those kind of relationships, yes, we need to show up, but we also need to open up and be vulnerable and take the risk and say, look, I'm not okay right now. And it's okay not to be okay, mm-hmm. And have those kind of relationships that are like that. Otherwise, they're worthless anyway.
Right.
And so that's one of the big skills we're talking about in this series.
And it's when you open yourself up like that, when you're vulnerable and honest, it's actually a gift for other people to be able to help and to pray and to be with you. And if you keep that all to yourself, it actually doesn't let other people help you or pray for you or be with you. Right. You're we're depriving them of an opportunity actually to be Jesus to you.
Yeah, I love that.
Which is kind of cool. Thank you for that, Jeff. That's really good. If you're watching on YouTube right now, this little conversation actually goes a lot deeper with the message from Chase Oaks. So I think it's called Be Known. So we'll probably link it if you're watching on YouTube. So check that out. But also if you're at Chase Oaks, which is here in the Collin County, DFW area, group season is starting. Yeah. You're in a group?
I am.
That's awesome. You've been in a group for a long time?
For 35 years.
That's awesome.
So not different groups, but this group has been, I think I've been in this group, we've been together, we multiplied from another group, but probably 7 or 8 years.
Wow, it's a long time.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
My group, I think we've been together 2.5 or 3 years, which is also a long time. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But if you are looking for relationships or friendships, or you want to get in a group, do it. Don't be scared. Just do it. And you can go to chaseoaks.org/groups to make that happen. And it'd be a really great decision. So anything else you want to say? Any final thoughts?
No, same thing. Show up, get in a group, and then open up. Don't let it stay pseudo community, which we'll talk about. Let it be real community.
So good. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us for Postscript.